G'day everyone and welcome to my channel. What I'm going to do today is um, I'm about to start a custom album for my neighbour, and sadly his wife passed away a couple of weeks ago, and I was over there, and he had the photos on display on his TV, like the digital photos as a slideshow, and he was showing me some pictures of her, and obviously um, he had her cremated and had the urn and all of that kind of stuff there. And I was talking to him about it. We're talking about things, and I come home and I just want to make him something to put all those beautiful photos into. Sometimes it means more if you can hold them rather than watching them on a TV. So that is kind of where this is going. So I put George's to the side for a moment, the armoire. It's still going. George's birthday's been and gone. Did I get it finished in time? Not at all. But it's still there and still working on it. And Georgia knows about it now, so I don't even have to hide it, which is great. But I just needed to step away from it. And at this point in time, this is calling me more. So this is what I thought. I was getting ready to start it and thinking about it. And I thought, well, I'll take you along and show you kind of where my thoughts go and why I come up, basically what I've done. Okay, so I've just got my planning book here that I write things down in. So we're going to do that. So I'm just going to put, I'm not going to use their names, simply, out of respect for their privacy. So I'm just going to find my pencil, and I'm just going to use memorial album. That'll do for a heading, to get me started, and just so you know what I'm doing there. Now, I asked what his wife's favourite colour was. He said she didn't really have favourites, but I had a look around. I go visit a lot, and a lot of their house is the blues, the greys, and obviously now he is quite masculine. So I've got to be mindful that I'm making this for a gentleman, and so I've kept all that in mind. But when we were looking at the photos, they have travelled the world. So travel and seeing the world, Bali, Europe, Tasmania, Australia, all around us, and so many other places. So I was like, well, you know what? That's where I'm going to kind of start to get my idea from. So then the first thing that comes is her urn was made out of beach sand and had the footprints in it. And obviously that has a lot of meaning to different people in different ways. Now, for them, it wasn't all about footprints in the sand. The one that's Christian based, so it was more, a religious in that sense. So I went and found a nice little image that represented the footprints in the sand without that prose from the poem. And that's kind of where I've started from. And then while I was there, I did print out a few other sympathy kind of things and some little poems and things that I might add to the album. But I'd already decided on there that I was going to go for kind of blues. So blues and whites, beach. So my head's starting to get an idea at this point in time. So I have these and I've printed them out, ready to go. So then I come home and I'm like, well, what papers do I want to use? So I'm having a look at the papers, and I settled on the majority of this one, which is Wandering Ivy. Now, a lot of the places that they've been were things like Sicily, Italy, France. A lot of those kind of places. Lots of mountains and greenery, and then obviously the beach as well. So I'm like, well, I'm going to try and bring in the blues, the greens, and the natural tones. So I've got this paper pack from Kaiser. So I was like, okay, well, we're going to start here. So generally what I do then is, I'm just going to get rid of these for the moment, is I have this paper pack, getting rid of stuff that was in it. I'll show you that stuff in a sec. I've got the paper pack, and when I use paper pack, I try to only use one piece of each. So this has got 2 of each design, so 24 designs, 2 pages of each. So I will take out 1 of each piece. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. And then I can put the book away, and the paper pack away. I may, I have the other covers there for another day. But what it does is it makes sure I use the entirety of the different options within the paper pack without, spoiling one in particular. Because these paper packs are designed to be cohesive to each other, so each of the pieces work. So I'm like, okay, what am I going, how am I doing this? So I keep doing that, and keep going, because then I'll show you what I do next. So this is kind of where we're up to. So I'm like, take it, yeah, long, all right. Now, this couple, just amazing people. When I moved here, they have been so welcoming ever since, and always invited me over if I wanted, if I needed anything, they were there. Occasionally they'd cook up a great, passata or something like that, or some kind of thing, and they'd come on over with a lot for the girls and I. But also, we respected each other's space as well. We didn't live in each other's pockets. It was a nice balance there. The neighbours were there if I needed them, and but that was kind of it. Alright, we're nearly through with all of these papers. So you can see there's that common theme. I see this, and I just see the whole lot of countrysides and European and English and so forth. Okay, I think that is the end. So I'm going to put that paper pack away. Now, if you were wondering, it's called Wandering Ivory by KaiserCraft. Yeah, so PP248. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put that away. So now I've got, these are my base pages that we're going to work from. So I've got these cut aparts. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to pull these cut aparts out. And then I've got this. Now I'm not going to do a huge 12 by 12 album. But what I did was I sat there and I looked at this and I went, well, what's this frame? And I'm like, okay, it is 7.5, around 7.5 by 7.5. Okay, so with around the 8. Cool, I've got that in my mind, that's what that is. Okay, I'll work that. Then I go, well, what could have possibly used for the front cover? Knowing that I have, because I want this also incorporated onto the front. So I want this there. So I'm like, okay, let's have a look. Obviously not cut apart. I'm looking for something that could possibly be a front cover. It could be incorporated into it. Nice blues of this one. So something there. I think this is always subtle and, brings in a little bit. So there is that potential for that one. Still looking. I love this. I think it's too much for the front, but it could possibly be the back. Then I see this and I'm like, oh wait, that's really nice. So I've got that. Okay, could be that. Okay. So, alright, I'm going to take away this one. Again, could be good for the back. Right, got it. I'm down now to these three. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, how can I bring this in? Now I'm kind of thinking of a flap over. So I don't know if I want this on this side. So I'm thinking perhaps this one. Okay. Then this is quite neutral with the wood, and I can add stuff to it. So like, there's potential there for those. So I've kind of got a bit of an idea now of where I'm going. I may change my mind. Okay. So keep in mind, still working with this. Then the next thing I do, because you know, it's not simply an easy process for me. I like to make things difficult. Is I go through my single papers and think, is there something that I could utilize there? Okay. Then I see this here. Now I've pretty much decided I don't want a tropical theme. I don't want it overly tropical in my mind. But what I do see is some things that could be used. So this is the Island Escape. I have a lot of this. This is just one of the small packs that I've got. So I'm like, well, yeah, might as well utilize it. See, I've got some scraps and things here. And I'm like, okay. And then I see this one. And I'm like, do we want to bring that in? It still works with all of these colours. So it's still going to work with the blues and all of those. But it kind of brings a little bit of a perspective there. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking that one has a lot of potential for a front cover. And I actually even have spares of that one. So I'm like, well, whatevs. And I've got 2 in here, and then I've got them in other books, and so I've got 5 million of the beach looking ones. Let's have a look at what other options there could be in here. Don't want it overly floral. There is that one. Again, it's not too beachy. That might work just with quite a subtle front cover. So I'm going to pull that one out too. And there is this side of it. And I'm like, I don't really particularly want pink on the front. I know it's a thing, but I kind of don't want the pinks too much. There is this one. I think no. And then there's that at the back. Okay. So I'm gonna like, all right. Got another couple of options there, and I'm not worried at this point of choosing a front cover. It's just basically getting an idea of, do I have some options there, and it starts to get me thinking of what I'm going to do as the album starts to come together. Now it comes with a nice little cut apart that I can little stickers that I might be able to use throughout, and some more little cut aparts and things like that. So I'm like, cool. All right. So I've got some options in there. The cut aparts and stuff like that. I've got things like this that might be able to be incorporated and things into it. Oh, okay. So we're going. I hope this is, like I said, I'm just showing you my thought processes. I pull all of this out. Do I use it all? Not at all. It's just how my brain starts to think. Okay, then I go through. Still not finished. So I've got these pile of papers now. So I've got the main book and a couple of little extra possibilities, and then I go through my single sheets and I go, okay, what could I use here? So I've got this one here. Might use it as an extension. I saw these. I was like, oh well, I'll pull them out. Some cut aparts that I might use the darker of the greys and the white ones. Not obviously not the pink ones. It's not going to work with the colour theme, but some of them I might use. You know, time is measured in minutes, life is measured in moments. Those kinds of things. I've got this here, which I think is could be used as a nice little addition. This piece of scrap from something. I've got obviously a kind of sandy beach textured one, some texture there, like render. There's this one here. So the florals on this are a lot more subtle. They're not pink. So I'm like, okay, could be utilised. And then the back's got some nice stripes, which is always handy. Same thing here. We've got some nice little additions. Keeping those greens and blues. I have no idea what collection this is from, but you know, they're there. No idea. A lot of the time, I'm completely caught unawares. Then I see this, and for me, butterflies signify quite a lot when it comes to losing a loved one. And I'm like, well, perhaps, you know, that could even be a possibility for a front cover. So I'm like, okay. I'll put that to the front cover collection pile. That might be something. It's not too florally, and it's not, you know, it's not too feminine when I look at something like this, because I'm trying to remember that this is for a man. And I've got this one, obviously lots of travel related, nice little background. Then I've got some ones that are to do with travel. So travel was very important to them. So I'm like, well, perhaps that could be incorporated into it. Another little one here. I'll be able to use that. So they're my single sheets that I go, okay, I'm going to bring them into the possible mix. So I've got that. Still goes. And then I go, what kind of other little things do I have that, you know. And now these are just pulled out, and the likelihood of me using these things, not very high. You know, I usually try to stick with the main paper pack and then maybe a few little additions. But I do have some tropical related papers, you know, even something along the lines of that might add a nice addition to something. I've got this one here that has a lot of those muted colours and some maps. So this one is probably more likely to be the one I'll pull from. Then I've got this one here again, which is the greens, and some few things that I might be able to use if I need it. And then this one here, which is again another tropical peacock kind of related, more about the colours that I might be able to incorporate. So there, I've pulled them out. Like I said, the likelihood of me using them isn't too high, but if I do, I think more often than not, I'll probably pull from this one because it kind of, the tones fit very nicely with the original paper pack. So they're the papers. And then I go, all right, I've got some little message cards from Daiso, which I might be able to add in, you know, so that him and his family can write little things about what's happened at each place, little adventures. So I'm like, okay. And then I think, well, you know, an album scrap album. It has oh, see, it's questioning me. Let's put that there. Memorial album. Okay. It I sit there and I go, well, the sun coming in from the outside. Hopefully it hasn't gotten too dark now. So now I'm like, well, okay, how am I going to, what extras can I add to this now that I've worked out paper? And this is where I then start to go through the ridiculous amount of craft supplies that I have and embellishments. Okay. And I start to pull out things. So the first thing I pulled out was some pebbles. Okay. So I'll go, all right. All right. This is obviously for the front of the album, not the pages, but I go, you never know. And then, then I start to collect things. Okay, and I have a lot of these little 12 by 12 plastic cases, and this is where I put my project stuff into, so that I can kind of go, all right, well, how I'm going to look. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because it's getting, just so you can see a little bit better. All right, so I've got this, and then I start collecting things. So I'm just going to show you the things I've collected. Again, this is not with the intention of using everything, but it reminds me of how much stuff I have, and then I remember, oh, I own that. And two, it helps me get my mind together. So I've got some texture sand, and I've got some mixed media stones. I'm like, cool, might, you never know. Oh well, I'll pull them out. Then I've got obviously some raffia. I've got some greenery bits. Alright, cool. Some florals. Again, if I use flowers and things, it's going to be more to the blues and like the muted masculine tones rather than pinks and stuff like that. I went and had a look at some ribbons. So I've got some ribbons here, some more ribbons. So looking at different colours, so browns, blues, navies, blacks, those kinds of things. So I've collected a few ribbons all together that I might possibly use. I also have a whole collection of pistachio shells. They're great, okay? Pistachio shells, you never know when you can use them. So I have them. And then I've got some more florals in here. Okay, so we're looking at things like the greys, the blues, the whites, the blacks, those kinds of things. So I've got a little collection of florals that fit nice into a little bag so that I don't lose them, basically. Is the whole idea there. And then I've got some natural elements, whatever these are called, dried seedless fruit pods. There you go, that's what they're called. So I have some of them. I've got some wood beads, some more dried greenery stuff. Technical terms there. Potpourri. I've got some shells. Some little shells in here. And then when I was down there, I found I've got a box of this, like, you know, torn packaging material. I'm like, oh well, who knows? So I'm like, oh well, throw that in too. So this is kind of what I do. I go and collect things and think, well, how might I utilize stuff and then I start to think about how it could look, what I could do, how could it come together, and so forth. And then I try to put it all back in, and it won't fit, but you know, I had it all in the first time. I won't be able to get it back in the second time. Always the way. You can never repack something. I don't know if you guys have the same problem. Oh, look at that. I actually managed to close it. That's not it. That's not all, folks. Then I've got this one too. Okay. So I've got some little puzzle things. You know, that's always nice. I got some more shells. Some twine. A lot of burlap and so forth that I might be able to use. some more twine. Then I've got some wooden, I got some here, I've got some shell charms, some more Balinese style beads, some wooden buttons, a few little things that could be used like this. It says blessed beyond measure, heart. So I've collected a few of those kinds of things, and I'm like, okay, so here my brain's going. Then I've got a whole lot of wooden decorations again. It kind of keeps it more to that less feminine angle. So I've got some travel, some botanical, some ocean, butterflies. So I've got a few of them. Wooden flourishes, oh that's what they call, wooden piecey thingies. And some of these little ones, adore, love always, you and me. These here that say, I think they should say cherish, love, adore, I think, of these. And then some materials that I could be utilised. So I've got some of the tan kind of materials, brown materials. I've got a cream leather, like fake leather kind of material there. A very kind of like, you know, unbleached, old looking material. So I've got those kinds of things, and I'm like, okay, we're getting there. The brains start to think away, and I have these. So that's the second little collection. And now putting these back. Oh, I forgot. Alright, let's see how badly I can do with this one. You never know, I might get lucky again and get it all in. Let's see. Yeah. Got one side down, two sides down. Look at that. Woohoo! Okay. So I've gone ahead and I've done all of that and I've pulled it all out. Now I go, well, how am I going to build this? And I've decided I'm going to have a white base. So that was the first thing. Do I want a craft base? Do I want a white base, a black base? Do I want blue? What kind of like thing do I want to be my base color? I've decided to go for white. I'm going to use this one here, which is an A4 size. So A4 means that my base sheets are 8 1/4 by, I'm going to zoom in again now so that you guys can see my thought processes as I do this. Okay. So I've got 8 1/4 by 11 5/8 is the size of a A4, standard A4 sheet. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then think, how can I utilize this? Because I hate scraps. Alright. I'm just going to dodgily draw it up, draw a rectangle up. So I'm going to go, alright, I'm going to do then I go my chipboard. My chipboard, luckily enough, I've got chipboard that is 8 1/2. So this is my base page. And then my chipboard is 8 1/2 by 11, which is the American letter size. Okay, so this is A4. If you're ever wondering, A4 is what this size is known as, and this size is letter size. Okay, now I've got that. I'm like, all right, well, let's see how I can make these work with each other. What can I do? So the first thing I'm going, well, 8 1/2 is bigger than 8 1/4, great. So that means that this is going to dictate the height or the width of my album. Cool. And I go, all right, yeah, let's go with that. And then I think, well, I want to make a spine out of this. I don't want to use another piece. So I go, I'm going to do, square sounds nice. Yeah, we like square. So I'm like, could I do square? I'm like, all right. Or maybe I just do a little bit off square, and I'll explain why in a second. And I do something like this, where I do 8 1/2 by 9 1/2 is going to be the size of it. So if I come out to here, go, no, 8 1/2. I was right. In my head, I'm like, no. Don't worry about it, my maths is wrong. It happens. Shh. Okay, 8.5. So we'll go square. There's a reason for it. Is this leaves 2.5 for a piece, which is going to be my spine. So this is going to be my spine. So if I cut it, I come out 8.5, bam, cut, there's my spine piece. I'm going to do this twice because I need a front and a back, and then I'm left with 2 spines. So then I go, okay, I've got these 2 spines. What if I build something that looks like this? So I build it, and hold on, how do I make it actual square? And let's at least attempt to make it look squarish. Okay, so I've got a square there, and then if I build it so it becomes a box, and what I might, and I'll have a piece that comes out, which may be this, comes out, and this is what closes my box, so it will unravel and end up being a 8.5. Oh my gosh, need a decent, I need a decent eraser. I got a million of them, and here I am using the back of my pencil. So then I go, it will look like, let's go 4, 4, this, and I got a spine, and another 4, spine, and whatever my little thing is. Okay, so that's kind of thinking about how I'm going to build this. So I've got that idea now. Now I've got to work out the pages. So I'm going to put the pages in here, and I reckon if I do 4 pages, that will leave a spine. Okay, so if we do 2.5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8.5. Okay. If I do 4 spines, 4 pages, and they will, if I do them at, not to scale at all there, by the way, if I do them at 5/8 apart, that will give me 2.5. And 5/8 is a nice gap between them. All of that will equal to 2.5. I'm like, all right, so that's kind of where my brain goes next. Work that out. Then I'm like, well, how do I utilize these pages? Now I've got this stuff here, which is 350 GSM, which means she's thick. Okay, so I don't really need to worry about reinforcing her too much. So she's quite a thick piece of card. All right, well, I'm going to use that as my base page. So then I think, how am I going to use this? Then we go to this section here. All right, I know, I've already written a base page up here. Look at that. Okay, so I need a 5/8. So I'm going to do a 5/8 hinge, a 5/8 part that I'm going to add to the spine. So this is the spine component. I like to add a little bit of a gusset to my page. It allows it to lay flat. 1/2 inch is always good. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do 1/2 inch there. Then I want it to fit in my album. And I'm like, okay. So I've got 5/8, 1/2 inch, which leaves me, let's do math right, 11, I think 10.5 here. I don't need, obviously 10.5 isn't going to fit into my spine, my album. It's only going to be 8.5 wide. So basically I'm going to make this, it's already 1/2 there. I need it to fit in, so I have to make it 8. Alright, so this comes out and I need to make this 8 inches wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that will leave me with a little bit hanging over. Not much. It leaves me with, I think, 1, 8, 8.5, 9, 5, 8. So it leaves me with a little bit hanging over that I'm going to cut off. I'll utilize that somewhere else. But that is kind of my thought. I was thinking about making it a pocket base and making 2. I'm still thinking about whether I want to add like a pocket into it, and that way I'd add a little well, 1/2 inch kind of there that would allow me to fold it over and make it into a pocket. Still trying to think about that, but that's kind of where I go with how I'm going to design it. So it gives you an idea of my design process. I thought I'd film it, show you how my crazy brain works when I'm coming up with things, and then I will film it as I do it. Now, remembering this is all just coming from my head. There's no prior planning or all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to go and see what comes from that. And yeah. So yeah. So hey, I don't know. I have no idea if anyone's going to watch this or whether you're going to enjoy it or what it may be. But anyway, I filmed it. And that is what it is. So I'm going to let it go there. As always, remember, be kind, be strong, be a warrior. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.